SpongeBob SquarePants was surrounded by a group of fleas. When they tried to flee, it was already too late. The fleas were frantically gnawing at SpongeBob and the others' bodies. Just at this critical moment, Squidward appeared. On this day, SpongeBob, in order to welcome Sandy back to the underwater world, he and Patrick secretly came to the treetop house and intended to prepare a surprise for Sandy. Sandy was very delighted when she returned to the treetop house, but just then, her body suddenly began to itch. At first, Sandy didn't care much about it and planned to finish the welcome ceremony cake first. However, her body became even itchier. She couldn't help scratching her own body. This caused the fur on Sandy's body to fall out wildly. Sandy finally couldn't stand it anymore. She felt something biting her, so she got her eyes close to the fur and found that there was actually a flea from the land on her body. After Sandy discovered it, she angrily struck at her own arm. As a result, the flea shifted its position. Then Sandy began to attack her own leg, but she still had no way to deal with the flea at all. So Sandy asked SpongeBob to bring the toolbox. She took out a flea prevention collar. However, after putting on the collar, the flea left Sandy's body and came onto SpongeBob's body. The flea started to gnaw at SpongeBob's body. To deal with the flea, Sandy put the collar on SpongeBob again. Then the flea changed its target to Patrick. The flea bit many lumps on Patrick's body. Patrick wanted to drive the flea away, so he snatched the collar and put it on himself. As a result, the flea returned to Sandy's body, but there was only one collar. At this time, Sandy came up with a good idea. She looped the three of them together with the collar. They thought they had got rid of the flea. Unexpectedly, the flea started to reproduce rapidly in a place where the three of them couldn't see. As the number increased more and more, the flea prevention collar was also eaten by the fleas. Now there was only one last solution. The three of them immediately started to run away. As a result, the fleas transformed into various forms and blocked their way. They were being crazily tortured by the fleas. They really couldn't find a way out. The suffering Patrick began to blame Sandy and SpongeBob, saying that they made him become like this. Sandy was very helpless. She told Patrick that if they wanted to deal with the flea, they had to be united. Unexpectedly, this really made Patrick come up with a way. He asked SpongeBob to climb onto Sandy's shoulder, and then Patrick climbed onto SpongeBob's shoulder. Unexpectedly, Patrick's method was to pick an apple and eat it to calm himself down and think of a solution. As a result, this made the fleas even crazier. The number of fleas became even larger. Just when the three of them were about to be submerged by the fleas, Sandy suddenly thought of a good idea. She broke through the fleas' encirclement, then opened the door of the treetop house and let the seawater pour in. Sure enough, this method successfully got rid of the fleas. But a new problem emerged. The seawater kept pouring into the treetop house uncontrollably, and all the residents of Bikini Bottom were also sucked into the treetop house.